on a moment, roasted or frozen. It's all I've been hoping for, a feeling you can.
Carissimi amici, dear friends, Irish and Italian friends, this 16th edition of Incontri deals with the way restaurants are coping with the pandemic restrictions in Ireland. Guests at this meeting are Giuseppe Crupi, the well-known director of the Italian School of Cooking, a brainchild of Flavor of Italy in Dublin, Eileen Dunn, who, with her husband Stefan, owned the Dunn and Crescenzi small chain of restaurants in Dublin and elsewhere, an author of 2 cookery books, and the amiable pianist David Owens, who is one of the most well-known street musicians in Europe, if not the world, having played in over 30 cities across 10 countries. His connection with the restaurant world will be soon revealed. Now, we start with Giuseppe. Giuseppe, you are a pillar in the Flavor of Italy organization in our company as the director of a school of cooking, which has been thriving from what I've seen through the years now, I would say, and also with a link with Irish television as well, with the demonstrations, executed in a very in an excellent platform, and also the restaurants Pinocchio's, owned by Flavor of Italy, which have been the place where now, under the present pandemic climate, you have been operating. Now, tell us what has been the impact of this dreadful pandemic on your business.
Well, I have to say that we took it as a challenge. I mean, there isn't much you can do, so just to see what the degrees of freedom are and just act accordingly. So obviously for the restaurant Pinocchio is a big change, and mostly we work with the takeaway. But from my point of view as director of Pinocchio Cookery School, it was quite strange because obviously you couldn't have events in the restaurant. And as you said, it was a little bit unfair for us in the sense that you build this up to a point where you just have to sit back, relax. People are coming to you, finally, all the good work paid. And in this very moment, we had to stop. So we decided to have online cookery events, because as you know, our cooking formula works mostly for team building events. So people of the same company, they come together, they cook together, and then they have their meal. And works really well because we like to think that around the table, people bond in a way. So as I said, it was a challenge, but it's quite a stimulating one because Concetto, you see, to me, it's very strange not to have people in front of me laughing at my jokes. So I don't even know if they are funny anymore. But at the same time, it's quite interesting that there are people in their own homes with their daughter and their son and the mom cooking with me, because the formula is quite simple. Basically, when we can, we deliver the ingredients, but sometimes it's impossible. Like, I give you an example. The other day we had one event with Microsoft. In theory, were 100 people, probably were a little bit less than 100, but yet, they were in Berlin, in London, and so on. So you cannot deliver the ingredients to all these cities. And what we do is we just send a list with the ingredients. The tools are very basic. You just need a rolling pin. And the whole idea is, once again, that rather than a demonstration, it's an actual hands-on event. So they are actually making their fresh pasta and their pesto at top. We selected the recipes accordingly so that everybody can make it. It's just kind of funny sometimes because I might write, even if you haven't a rolling pin, you can use a bottle. And there was a guy with a squared section bottle of whiskey. I was like, it's going to be very difficult to roll your pasta with a bottle that is not a cylinder. But having said that, I think it's the right attitude for all of us, since things are different, just to adjust. And to be honest with you, to be able to see everybody in their own homes cooking together, and then they are actually eating together, because we organize a Zoom event that continues even after I finish talking. So they would cook their pasta together, eat, and it is a way for some companies to socialize remotely. So it's working well.
Well, you know, when you think of it, in the end, it's very good, because cooking under the present pandemic climate in every household has become the name of the game. So to have such comfort, such, direct instructions from somebody like you, must have been great, I suppose, because,
I agree in the sense that, well, I don't agree, but I agree in the sense that one thing that we want to pass as a message is, first of all, even remotely, you can be close. So even with your workmates, because people miss the atmosphere at work, and you want to suggest by doing an event together, guys, you can do it even without us, like you can just meet up and cook together and do things together. And also in some cases people are a little bit intimidated by cooking, and that was a bit the mission from the very beginning with the school, and you wanted to show that it is something playful, easy, and very rewarding. So yes, I agree with you, cooking is the answer at the moment.
Well, the restaurants have gone through the middle, shall we say, and they've been badly hit. One of the sectors most dreadfully hit, and there was a time when, in fact, you could not have guests inside, and then you opened up the open air, al fresco eating, but then this has been curtailed. And you know something, from what I've been observing in the city, and the unfortunate thing is that walking through, every place in Dublin where there are restaurants with the tables outside, it's not so much the guests who are sitting at these tables. It depends on the actual distance between tables. But also I've seen, and with my own eyes, congregation of people, of young people, especially young people, joining those people sitting there without mask, nothing. You take a walk in Ranelagh and that's what you saw. You take a walk here in Donnybrook and that's what you saw. And one Sunday, I remember in the Quartiere Italiano in Wallace Center there by the Quays, it was amazing. I've never seen that square full of people like that day, because there were the three restaurants which had these tables outside, they were far too close with one another, all right? And also there were queues of people without masks, queuing to be seated when tables became available. I mean, this is not on, because you see, restrictions have to be respected, and I always have been beating this up, this particular issue. I've written a lot, even Facebook, my website, etc., that restrictions are there to be respected, and if they're not respected, they have to be policed. And I, of course, unleashed a sort of complaint, we are not an authoritarian state, we are not a police state, and I said, we got a democracy, and on language, which I have acquired through the years, I said, there's nothing worse than a weak democracy, okay? Because a democratic government has the power and the duty in certain situations of emergency, national emergency, to take some course, legislative necessary and police. Because otherwise, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mean nothing, and we will
Can
be
I say something
in the
there,
same.
Concetta?
Yes, okay, Eileen. I was expecting you to
Sorry.
say something.
Yeah. About policing, and I mean, if there's queues of unmasked potential customers, it's up to the restaurateur, I think, to manage that queue. That comes in, it's the remit of the restaurateur to manage queues. Of course, a restaurateur cannot be a police, but I think, in this whole scenario of the pandemic, I take my hat off to young people. I mean, they have sacrificed so much. I think when you get to our age, you don't go out so much. You're not looking forward to go nightclubbing or whatever, but that's what young people do. Young people have to go to concerts, they have to go to music, they have to meet their friends. That's part of their development. And you know what? I grew up in an Ireland that was, manipulated by church and state, where we were all poor in this life and we would, gain the benefits of heaven. And life was bloody miserable. And I take my hat off to the young people today who voted for, same-sex marriage and all the rest, and divorce. They have liberated this country, and they will go on liberating. We cannot, accuse them of things that are natural for young people to do. Like when I was young, I did unorthodox things. That's what young people do.
You're wild, weren't we? Yes.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I may be a bit too drastic. I realize that.
Drastic.
But,
Yeah.
a bit of control. Because
if I
look.
can say one thing, Concetto, I agree with what Irene was saying. It's just a little bit, I think, unfair that everybody who is offering a service, from schools to restaurants, have to have this role as well, like to kind of instruct people on the guidelines and remind them this can be done, this cannot be done. You would like all the guidelines to be followed by people spontaneously, if you like. Having said, though, it is, as Eileen said, it's only natural that people are taking these guidelines in different ways, reacting in different ways. Young people feel they are immortal. I find that a problem, because I had that while talking to people and making them in a way realize what the situation was, that it's a new situation, like we didn't have to deal with a pandemic before. So you can clearly see that people are not equipped, informed about how to act in a pandemic situation.
What was dreadful, really, in my opinion, is to liberalize or loosen the restrictions at some stage, which was the time before the number level 5 was introduced. And that was the time when really we all partied in a way, because we were, good, now we can do things, It's a dreadful problem, really. I realize that, I mean, you take, for example, over 70s, like me, and when the first restrictions came about, they were obliging us to take a walk in your own garden, and I had to write to the HSE saying that, but beg your pardon, but I mean, I don't have a garden. You're assuming that everyone has a garden, but if you take away the possibility of an old person, I don't have a dog, but I always had dog before. I take a little dog for a walk, say in Arbor Park, not far from where I live, and what's wrong with it in the open air? Because, and this is a truism, way from the category of over 70s, who are quite a few, they're not just a few.
You
the
look
little
much
thing,
younger, Concetto.
the little thing. Thank you very much. The little things which the only things left in our lives, really, to take a little walk with it. Then depression sets in, and clinically speaking, depression, you know what it does? It lowers the level of immunity. That is a medical thing.
Yeah,
You know, do you agree, Eileen?
Oh, definitely. But I think that this has come to the fore in this pandemic, not only on 70-year-olds. Young people are suffering from mental health issues related to the pandemic, and this lack of socializing and being able to pop up with friends for dinner or gather. And I hope the good that will come out of this, that there will be more services available for mental health issues, particularly, well, across the board, but particularly for young people, because up to now, there's a backlog and shortage. So, hopefully that will all improve. But I think, at the end of the day, this pandemic, a lot of aspects are still misunderstood or
What happened?
not understood at all. And hence they don't know, don't wear a mask, wear a mask. Of course, now we know that mask wearing is the key. But initially we were told it wasn't that important. So I think it's, the scientists are still uncovering stuff. What's the best thing to do? What's not the best thing to do? And probably there's going to be opening, closing until there's mass vaccination, but that probably is not going to be for a year or so.
In any case, all we can hope that this terrible, terrible situation, which we didn't expect, only a year ago, will ease a bit. And we pray that really one day we'll be able to conduct our lives in Giuseppe is having problem.
Yeah, my computer is dying and I'm trying to connect it, so that's why.
Right, okay. Fine. Are you all right now? Yes, very good. Now, and just as well, we have the likes of David Owens and the category of musicians who can enlighten this dreadful situation, with some music. In fact, I believe, David, you are connected with the Pinocchio because we've been providing some entertainment. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, only since it was was it level 3 a few months ago that they contacted me and asked me to come in when we could go in and do a live stream, and it was cool. I've done a few live streams here, and it's a big thing, and it's all we've got now as musicians is kind of online concerts from our bedrooms. But it was nice. I really enjoyed it because it was in a different venue. It's more like a thing. Even everyone watching from home, it's still the same, and they're just watching on their phone or whatever. But it means that it's a venue still, and it's a different thing. And then I think the big advantage is consistency. So it was a great a pairing. So then I started helping them book other people to come in and do live streams from an empty restaurant. But it meant that it looks nice. You've got and yeah, consistency is the key. It means that people can tune into Pinocchio every week, so it's good for the restaurant too, for branding and stuff like that. But it means that there's a weekly concert with a different act, but within the guidelines, and it's still just live streaming for the people. But it means that for the viewers, it's different. Rather than picking your 5 favorite artists to watch every week, it means that just it's curated. Someone's going to be different every week automatically. So it's a kind of a cool marriage of usually unrelated things.
You love doing that, yes.
I do.
Contributing to ease the situation somewhat. But tell me something. You are a wonderful pianist, from what I've heard. And you've played in so many places. Have you played in Italy, in Italian cities?
I have. I've played lots in Italy. I've played maybe 4 times in Italy. In Milan, Ferrara, Bergamo, Rome. That's it, actually.
You've been appreciated everywhere. Yeah?
It's been great. Yeah, the Italians are lovely. Yeah, the only problem is quite far to drive. That's the only issue I have with Italy, because I always drive because I have this big piano. So it's an easy flight. It's a long drive from Ireland.
Perhaps Eileen will think about it and having you perhaps staying just outside when at least
when it's allowed.
The alfresco eating will be resumed. I don't know. I hope so. So to enlighten.
Sorry. I just wanted to say what the biggest challenge for restaurateurs now, besides the obvious, the lack of income, etc., revenue. I think the biggest challenge is going to be staff welfare. I'm kind of very concerned about employees at the moment. You brought up about mental health. How do you keep them sane in a way, not sane, but healthy? And what I'm finding now, I think a lot of, because as you know, the hospitality business is very much based on European. So I'm finding that a lot of employees are returning to their home countries. So when we reopen, will there be a shortage of staff? Up until now, of course, you know, for the last 15 years, there's been a drastic chef shortage. But I think now across the board, we're going to see it everywhere. Waiters, managers, because everybody's relocating home in this environment.
I wonder, is that a rent problem? Is it that, you know, that suddenly Dublin becomes even more expensive than it was before because there's no tips now for waiters and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot, yeah. Trying to make
And
it.
you know, when you were serving outside only, I always treated myself on a Sunday to your beautiful cream cornetto and a cappuccino. I may as well tell you. And then the whole thing was shut out. And, you know, little things that I used to do, because as an over 70, I obeyed the rules up to a point, because I went out doing the shopping sometimes 2-3 times a day, having my little cappuccino and Dana and Crescente and all this. You know, I've done it with precautions, of course, and I'm still alive. Fingers crossed.
And also,
Yeah.
I think that maybe, you know, like the COVID will have an impact on our lifestyle, people working remotely more, different environmental policies more applied. I think that in Dublin, one thing that was very strange coming from Italy was that there was a lot of a culture of going into the pub even during the summer. And I think that now that we are rediscovering the outside of Dublin, eating al fresco, meeting outside, meeting in the square and going for a walk, people are realizing how beautiful the city is and even changing their approach to the city. So going out could be just staying out.
Yes. I agree with you, yes.
No?
That's true. That's true.
Well, they're pedestrianising 2 more streets, aren't they, because of this? That's quite cool.
But the baskets is great.
It's great for us, yeah.
That's true. That's good for you,
We
Dave.
hope,
It is.
we hope
When we're
they
allowed again,
resume-
you know.
we hope they resume at least the eating outside, if not the lot. And I hope that those sitting outside will be entertained by the likes of David Owens. Now, we have reached the time allocated for this meeting, so I have to leave you and thank you so much,
Thank you. Thanks
really,
very much for having
for
me.
participating
Thank you.
in this meeting.
Thank you.
Grazie.
And we will meet again one day, one sunny day, as the
You
song
can
says.
see that as the exit.
All right. Quindi, arrivederci. Bye bye.
Arrivederci.
Ciao. Thank you.